Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Too Many Cooks with me, Charles Burns. I'm with Tara Bloom today, which is weird me saying that because I've known you as Tara Addlestone for many, many years. So, but we grew up together and both our families are in retail jewellery, which is one connection, but we just grew up in the same friendship group. And I just literally, I put a video up on Instagram and various other places, received some of her Misfits protein bars, which are delicious. And I was like, right, I need to interview you. I need to understand what's going on. It's a really cool business, really cool product. And I heard great things, and now I actually tried it myself. It's really, really impressive. So yeah, welcome, Tara.
Thank you for having me.
No, it's a pleasure.
Isolation style video calling.
Say again, sorry.
Isolation style interviewing.
Right. I really enjoy it. I mean, it allows you to speak to our chancellor in Jamaica the other day and Singapore, and it's good for that. I do miss the face-to-face piece there.
Yeah.
Gotta say.
I don't know how long it'll be till we can do that, but this works for now.
We'll go with this. So, I mean, I know, and anyone that looks at your profile knows that you are very academically intelligent. You got great grades at school. Your parents or your father is in retail and your family's been in retail. Was there ever an idea of going down that route, or were you always just told, do what you want to do and go for what you want to go for?
Yeah, I was always encouraged to just follow whatever passions I had, and my sisters as well. My sister's actually working in the family business now, but I never thought that that was a path for me. I did politics at uni, enjoyed it, but didn't love it. Did sort of working in Westminster and Washington and for MPs and congresswomen. But it just wasn't striking that fire in me. So I went to do a broadcast journalism master's. I always loved news. News was very interesting because it's very fast paced, moving, ever changing. So I thought maybe news with the politics, would work. I quite like the idea of journalism and broadcast journalism. So yeah, I did a master's in that. And was working at ITV, Good Morning Britain. Learned loads of skills during the masters, really, really invaluable skills, very transferable. Just communication, but taking it to the next level, presenting, working together as a team, finding news stories, and there were like a group of us that would have to go out and find it. But at the same time, my love for health and fitness, health and wellness was always there, and it was always growing. I worked out 4 or 5 times a week. I took an active interest in my nutrition and sort of bettering my nutrition. And at the time, the sort of protein sports nutrition industry, I mean, it's always been growing, it's always been there, but the plant-based side of things was growing. And I came across 2 boys who were setting up a nutrition business whilst I was working for ITV, and it was sort of a freelance ITV job, so I had extra time, and they said, do you want to just come and do some marketing stuff for us, because I was quite big on social media and I had extra time on my hands, and my friends sort of connected us, and I went to do stuff with them. And then Misfits, that was sort of the beginning of Misfits and the birth of Misfits, and left journalism and went into Misfits full time from there.
Just to reverse that, there was something I want to ask you, I think it's maybe quite interesting. In terms of politics, you did some time, you said, with a congressperson and also with an MP. Are there huge differences between how what you experience, how those people operate, and how the systems work?
Yeah, massively. When I was working in Westminster, it was very, well, from my experience, it was very constituency based. So whilst I was working in Westminster, we were just doing I was actually working for an MP who was doing stuff with HS2, but it was quite day-to-day constituency coming in, a constituent writing in an issue about XYZ, pretty boring, mundane life stuff. I think that's why I really didn't enjoy it, because it was just like listening to Joe Bloggs' problem and having to kind of try and rectify that. But you know what it's like with politics, nothing happens overnight. What I loved about America, I was there during when the Congress was on lockdown, there were shootings going on in DC. Everything was a lot grander. Things were obviously not my specific role, but debating wider issues. So we were just working on a larger scale, which I loved, because you were just getting more involved in sort of deeper issues. That was just my experience though, and I guess it's different for everyone.
So you're saying you got connected via some mutual friends to these guys. Was it just because you had this profile, right? You still do, called CameraEats,
Yeah.
Which I love. It's just really, really clever. Explain to what that is if they don't know what that is or where it started.
Yeah, so in and amongst my love for food and fitness and healthy eating, I always used to say, and people always used to laugh at me, because I always took photos of food. I mean, I'm not the only one. I'm sure you're the same. If you've got a really,
I think you were pretty early in making it a thing for you.
Yeah, I think, and I think now whenever we go to restaurants, we always take photos of food and we share it with our friends. And I used to do that with what I was cooking. And my mum said to me once, she said, "Tara, the camera always eats first before you do." So that's where CameraEats came from, and I've got an Instagram, CameraEats, and I cook a lot. I love cooking, so sharing my recipes online, and because of that, I had followers. People just following me to follow my recipes, and that was, my friend knew how much I loved it, and then these boys were setting up a nutrition business, and we kind of just got introduced not by fluke. We had mutual friends, but it just worked. It made sense. They actually at the beginning were just sort of like, "We'd like you to try our powders, see what you think about them." And then they never got rid of me. 6 months later, I was like, "Right, boys, I want to do full time," and then I became a co-founder with them. So.
Oh, sweet. So what was the business setting up? You alluded to it then, and then it's moved on an awful lot over the time. Maybe you can talk about how it's transitioned.
Yeah. So the business has been going for 3.5 years. Before I came in, they were developing products for about 9 months with our supplier. We launched in 3 years ago with just protein powders. So we found a gap in the market. This is what excited me the most. A lot of protein powders historically have either just been for men to bulk up, gym, or for women to meal replace, weight loss type shakes. When actually, and why I use protein powder is, it's just an essential. If you're looking to add more protein into your diet, we all know how important protein is, but we don't want powders that are gonna promise the world, look like Miranda Kerr in Ibiza next week, turn us into Arnold Schwarzenegger, full of crappy ingredients. We just want good quality products that we can add into our smoothies or into our porridge. That's just sort of that lifestyle choice. And that's what Misfits was all about. It was about perfectly portioned products that were seamless. You can seamlessly incorporate them into your everyday. So that was what we were 3 years ago. We at the beginning had a bit of a bias towards women, probably because so many brands were for men, or they weren't speaking to women. But actually now, and as we've evolved, we've realized that's quite regressive in messaging. You shouldn't have gendered products. You should just have the best quality products, and then anyone can consume them. So where we pivoted and where we rebranded, we actually launched January this year. So 2020 was sort of the birth of Misfits Health from Misfits Nutrition, was the focus on plant-based. We've always been plant-based. Well, we'd had a few non-plant-based products, but predominantly plant-based. So the focus on plant-based, the growth of vegan, and an emphasis on sustainability as a brand. So using only the best quality ingredients, packaging, sort of emphasizing how our packaging is sustainable as we're going forward. And that was sort of the shift. But and not just protein products anymore. So we have other products in the range, albeit our protein products are our best sellers. So it was more of a shift to a 360 holistic wellness. So having products that, from when you wake up in the morning to go to sleep at night, I can touch on some of them in a bit.
Sure.
We're there to help you along the way.
So one thing I actually didn't think of this, trying to tell my mum about this, where the name came from. I've got an idea, but where did the name originally come from?
Yeah, so originally, as I said, it was a quite female focused brand. Misfits Nutrition had double S, so it was MISS
Right.
Fit. So it was quite literally Misfits
Okay.
Nutrition.
Got it.
However, we realized when we were rebranding and that we were actually a brand for all and an inclusive brand, we dropped an S. So I've got a box here so you can see what the thing is, but we're Misfits like this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So we dropped one of the first S's. And whilst in a world where we want to be inclusive, actually, everyone's different. Everyone has their own goals. Everyone has reasons why they would consume our product. Everyone's totally different.
Yeah.
No one's the same. We're all unique. So actually, we're all kind of misfits in society, like for whatever reason, and we can all relate to that for some reason. So we are now misfits, which is kind of an odd, like the I and the S.
Outlier, yeah.
And sort of like outliers in society, but we're all sort of doing it for different reasons, and we're all into our health and wellness, and we're all growing and we're all learning, and that's sort of where we've evolved to.
In the evolution, some of the stuff I'm obviously following from a friend of yours, but also that the brand's really, really interesting. You've also been a brand, and maybe it's from your angle, from you yourself being, I hate the term, but it is what it is, an Instagram influencer, or having a certain degree of following on Instagram. You've used that quite successful, I would say, within the brand. How has that played a part of the overall marketing strategy of the business?
Yeah, so my role now is different to my role 3 years ago because we've employed people since then. But my role at the beginning was very much with a marketing head. So I was sort of thrust into this business with two guys, and I had the experience, not a huge amount of experience, but it's kind of, it's quite intuitive. I had either friends in the industry, journalists. One of my close friends is a huge nutritionist in the industry. Just sort of making relationships, I think, because I loved, and the London fitness scene's amazing. So I was going to gyms, trying out classes, meeting people, going to events, so many events all over the place. And I was just going to meet people and learn. And then from that, I was able to then say to these people that I'd met and friends that I'd made, I'd like to gift you product. I'd like you to try our product. I would like you to get first-hand reviews. They would post, their friends would see it. I mean, what we found has been phenomenal during lockdown. We launched in January our protein bars. So if you imagine a typical whey protein bar, so like a grenade, which is obviously a fantastic product, and they sell millions of bars a year. But if you imagine that type of bar, we've essentially created the first in the UK that is vegan and natural. So we're not using artificial sweeteners, we're using 100% plant-based ingredients, and it still tastes like a chocolate bar. It's amazing. You tried one this morning.
Really good. Really good.
In 4 different flavors. So what we found has been awesome during lockdown is everyone's at home. This is, and as I said, my role's changed, but what we've done in the marketing team is everyone's at home. Everyone is bored at home. They might be working, but this time we're bored at home. Everyone's snacking. Not everyone, but people are trying to be healthy, which is why we've actually seen really strong growth online during this period. And people are snacking. So what we've been doing is reaching out to influencers, and I guess this is sort of translating through from the beginning of Misfits, reaching out to influencers, saying, we've got these bars. Firstly, they're delicious, quarantine snacks. We'd love to send you some. And they are grateful for them. People with like 1 million followers or 500,000 followers from Love Island or elite rugby players or whoever it is. And they post about it on their stories, and the engagement's wild. Like as a byproduct, you get more followers, you get more sales, you get more traction. It kind of creates like this halo effect. So someone might have seen Misfits on a paid advert on Facebook, but hasn't bought, but then they've seen it on Jess from whatever program, and it just reinforces. And I think that's a good thing that we're quite strong at, is sort of being keeping current and up to date. And having, I know we were talking about allergy, and you want the people who have a voice, but a cool voice, to be consuming and using and posting, and
For sure.
and validating your product.
Without a doubt. You've mentioned your co-founders a couple of times. What's their background and where do they fit into this? What's their kind of role in the business?
Yeah, so Jacob is head of online sales. His background was actually he's kind of sales director, but his background was he worked for Metcalfe's, Skinny, and Itsu. So he was in the sales team for the Itsu products and also Metcalfe's popcorn. So when we work together, I'm now in the sales team because we have a marketing manager full time, but he sort of helps instruct the sales strategy online and then offline, and I kind of go and do and meet with retailers and, you know, talk with retailers. So he's head of sales, e-commerce and offline. And then Henry, he came from an automotive background, so he was a buyer at Aston Martin.
Wow.
He's logistics and operations, so he does everything from we have an idea for product development, and he will create the idea and take it to a supplier, find new suppliers, make sure stock levels are there, make sure orders go into Sainsbury's in time, all the logistics side of things, things that I would probably be super terrible at. He does, and then I do sales. So I was responsible for grocery sales and food service. Actually, now we're working with a consultant on grocery who's worked for some seriously amazing brands. We're getting quite good traction with the bars, so we want to make sure the strategy is right for when they do go into supermarkets. They're launching into Holland and Barrett next month.
Oh, amazing.
Make sure that it's done properly and not sort of it launches in and then we're like, oh, you know, what's the best way to make sure they sell really well? So I'm doing the food service side of things, which is really fun. It's all gyms. Obviously, gyms are shut at the moment, but it could be anything from gyms to fashion. So if you saw us in Topshop, to offices. So if you saw us in Amazon offices, there's all kind of anywhere that's not grocery. I'm sort of responsible for now.
That's super interesting. You alluded to it as well a little bit, but how does new product development come about? And like, is it very organic? How big is the team actually? How many of you? There's 3 co-founders and how many?
3 co-founders, a marketing manager, a graphic designer who we actually employed during lockdown because we had a freelance graphic designer. She was awesome, but we needed someone full time because we are regularly putting out. You may or may not have seen we put out so much content all the time on Instagram, on Facebook, advertising, you know, and it has to be up to date. It has to be changing, and it, you know, once they've ads have served their purpose, we have to use new ones. So we need someone full time. So there's 5 of us full time, but then we outsource product. So we have a supplier for the powders and the wellness range, so the capsules that we have, and then we have a different supplier for the protein bars. But as you said, what we sort of do is we, even for the protein powders, the protein powder blend has changed over time. It will be changing again towards the end of the year. It's about iterating and making sure it's as tasty as possible. With the bars, we always had this idea that we wanted to be and create the UK's first plant-based chocolate, high-protein, low-sugar bar. We had this idea. I mean, easier said than done, because create something that tastes like a chocolate bar but has incredible macros is, you know, difficult. So it's about finding suppliers that create a bar format and then can do 100% plant-based and then can do triple layer and all this. This is what Henry does. But we look and speak to people in the industry and find, you know, I mean, our suppliers are kind of our gold dust because they're amazing, and they're, you know, we keep them very close to our chest, because once you found a good supplier, you could have a product that's going to absolutely fly, and you want to be sort of first to market with it. So yeah. So
how, in terms of new product development, how long I'm sure it's all different, but for like the bars, when did you think of the idea, and then when was it actually in customers' hands? How long's that process?
Well, we actually thought of the idea probably a year ago, but we shot the market for suppliers, couldn't find, or found suppliers who weren't able to do exactly what we wanted to do. As a stopgap, we had some protein balls, never loved them. They weren't exactly what we wanted. And then when we actually found the supplier, we probably found them towards the end of last year. I mean, to give context, now for a new flavor, it's probably a 3-month process.
Okay.
They create in their kitchen, they send over samples, and then we turn it around in, I'd say, 3 months. But the whole process was probably a year from sort of inception of thought, maybe like 6 months from finding a supplier that could actually do it, to, you know, getting a flavor in someone's hands, or getting a bar in someone's hands.
And you've talked about on other products. What are those other products again? Where have they come from? You talked about the holistic range. Is that, are you just trying to find other elements? You know, there's gut health, there's sleep, and there's various other things.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so the way that we sort of saw it when we rebranded was wellness is 360. So whilst we need to be eating the right things, you know, healthy, good food, good mood, all that kind of stuff, and protein is very much important in that. Mm-hmm. If we're not sleeping properly, then we're thrown off for the day. If we're not digesting properly, then we're thrown off for the day. If we're not focusing properly at work, or we don't have enough energy, we're not going to have an optimal workout. All these different things. If our immune system is low, if we're not eating enough fruit and veg, there's so many different things that play into it, and so much, you know, mixed messaging in the industry. But ultimately, it's all about little steps. So the more little steps you can take to achieve a healthier you, the better. So as a result, we kind of developed 7 key categories. We looked and we saw 7 categories. So body is one, which is our protein powders and snacks. But then we have, if you think from when you wake up in the morning to go to sleep at night, so you wake up and, well, we're usually tired the first thing we wake up. So why not replace a morning coffee with a natural energy boost? So we use all plant-based, botanical, nootropic adaptogen ingredients, really awesome ingredients. So our full speed ahead capsules are to replace your morning or afternoon coffee as a natural pick-me-up. They're in capsule format. Our super greens powder, our immunity boost, is sort of a blend of all your micronutrients, but tastes of apple and kiwi, so it doesn't taste of gross greens that you just mix with water. Our switch on capsules, which I take every day, they're insane. They're nootropic, so they're natural focus stimulants. In the short term, it's helping you focus on your work, but in the long term, it's for overall brain health. So it's for brain boosting properties. What else have we got? Our probiotics. So we all know, and gut health is huge. So it's about, I actually got a message the other day from a friend who's struggled with her digestion and her bloating for years. And now she's taking our Very Happy Insides pills, and it's amazing. It's awesome. The results.
Feeling, right? That's more than financial gain. Like that kind of comment, or those kind of like being able to help people, so rewarding.
You know, we were talking yesterday about and I'll tell you the other products we have after, but I was saying yesterday how reviews are everything. If anyone ever says to me, oh, I bought your bars on Amazon, or I bought your powders on Ocado, or whatever it is, I'm like, the first thing I say, before I say, did you like it? Well, actually, I ask if they like it first, but then I say, could you leave us a review? Always, can you leave us a review? Because social reinforcement is huge. I mean, we launched the bars in January. I think we've got over 200 reviews now, with an average rating of like 4.7,
5, close to 5.
Really close to 5. You know, you can't please everyone, but that is awesome. And I think yesterday actually we had our best ever day on Amazon, because people they buy with their, you know, they read reviews. I know I do the same. Whenever I'm buying something on Amazon, I always read the reviews. So that is super important.
No one wants to be the first, whether it's investing in a company, whether it's buying a product. Like, they want to see, well, who else has bought this? Like, there are always people that will take the plunge and go first, but they're the early adopters. But the majority of the people that you're going for as a B2C brand want to know, right, well, have all my people that I follow on Instagram, are they eating this? Are they viewing this? And absolutely, that plays into it.
Awesome. 100% couldn't agree more. And it's like the 7 rule. Is it the 7 touch points of marketing? You know, you could see something on X, but you have to see it another however many times before you actually invest, even if it's £20. It's
interesting, because from the review side, so Allergies obviously pretty young, and it's, you know, someone described, and you all appreciate this, as a business like an iceberg, right? So people have only seen allergy for maybe the last 4 weeks as it being above the surface, but I've been working on it for longer than that. But the reviews alone, some of the stuff people are saying, gives you such reason to continue doing what you're doing. And when people are saying this is going to change my life, and you're just like, wow, this is incredible. That's something I've thought about, or what you've thought about is now a real thing that's helping us with gut health, or with me, it's helping with them with allergies or intolerances. It's an amazing thing.
Do you know what? I mean, honestly, people, friends, whoever it is, Misfits, really, we've been going for 3.5 years, but really, since we rebranded in January, and since we've seen during a global pandemic sales really spike online.
Brilliant.
And we've always been excited when we've launched into Holland and Barrett or Sainsbury's. Of course, it's amazing, incredible milestones, but it takes time. Like, it's taken, it's serious graft for over 3 years. And I think you've got to have that grit, or else you will not succeed with a startup. Because if you can't keep persevering through the shit times where you get an email from Boots and you know how amazing your protein powder is, but they still are not going to list it because you won't pay. But
whoever
it is, but you know, X retailer will say, cool, we'll list you, but you need to pay 50k for a listing fee or something ridiculous. And you're like, I mean, think how much money 50k could go towards paid adverts in the next 6 months, and you can't even fathom it. So it's kind of, you've just got to keep pushing through, and you say, okay, well, if they're not going to do it, then someone else is going to take it, and they're going to believe in the little guy, and you know, everyone started from somewhere. So
the point you raise up perseverance. I put a video up maybe 2 or 3 weeks now. I try and do one every week. I call it burning issues, something that I'm thinking about during the week, could be business related or whatever it is. And one was about, I call it the 4 Ps, which is like an equation, right? And you basically alluded to yourself, which is passion plus purpose plus perseverance equals progress. And if you've not got any one of those 3 things, it isn't going to work. And on that perseverance piece, the other bit that I really like is about consistency of intensity, because we're in this world where we're led to believe from all this social media and things we're consuming, you just work 20 hours a day non-stop and that's how you do it. Well, that's not going to be consistent for 10 years. You've got to be able to do something that you love. And you're going to have days and things like you're saying that aren't great, but you've got to be able to consistently each day just keep going and keep going and keep going. And that's the only way you're going to find long-lasting results. It's not going to be like my old director at Tesco, one of them anyway, very senior, said to me, it resonates now more than ever. You don't want to be a firework, you want to be a candle. And that's what you're trying to be.
Slow burn.
Yeah, for sure. Now, just come back to the products, something interesting actually. So there are all these great, you've got nootropics, you've got all sorts of interesting science-based, not claims, but things that are going on there. What do you have to do to back that up? How does that work? How do you go testing? Is that what your suppliers do? Or is that something that you have to outsource? Or how does it work?
Yeah, so for the capsules and the powders and all the claims, so we work with a team of scientists in Cambridge. So they have in-house scientists, nutritionists, legal experts. You have to have certain ingredients to talk about certain claims. It's all very specific and technical, but we work with a team of people that do that. So sometimes, they recommend putting a specific ingredient in so you can have, it's funny actually, you know, for example, our probiotics, okay, you think it's probiotic, pre and probiotic blend, okay? You can't even write pro and prebiotic on the front of the pack. There's just so much legal jargon that goes with it, which we're learning all the time. But yeah, it's definitely a bit of a minefield. So we have to work with a team that help us with that.
So you've talked about kind of where the brand is now, and it seems to me from a complete outsider that I'm seeing it more and more. And certainly I think, and it's just my general feeling, that there's more of a focus around what you're doing now. It's very obvious what you're trying to do. And I think that for me, like I see that through in the marketing, everything that's going on. What's the next kind of year, 2, 3 years? How far have you planned ahead? Obviously, we never know where things are going to go, but what's it look like without obviously giving away too much?
So firstly, it's definitely about double downing on what's working. So we've seen that PR doesn't work. We don't want, we don't need to pay a
What
PR
does that
agency.
mean? What does that mean to people?
So paying an agency to get us coverage to
In
go
a
in a magazine or online is slightly different, but
print.
ultimately print, getting our products into the hands of people, being honest, messaging them, asking them if they want to try it, not even saying post about it. Generally, they will. It's protein bars or free protein powders, that works. That has worked really well, and we're going to continue. For us, that works.
Right.
So that's great for the marketing, and also fun content, engaging content, not boring, not just a photo of someone looking pretty holding a product that's not giving any substance. Fun, engaging stuff works well. So we've sort of decided that is great for marketing. And then in terms of, and also we put out content and then we are getting eyeballs on the brand. So as you say, hundreds of thousands of eyeballs on the brand during this time is invaluable with people just at home on their laptops, not really buying anything other than food, or workout equipment or a pair of new trainers. I don't know. I mean, everyone's
sure.
different. So that's definitely been really helpful in terms of like the marketing strategy. And then the wider strategy is, so now that we've got the customers, we've had this sort of exposure, we've grown the newsletter organically, we've built up the following, that kind of thing since January. We're now in a position where the buyers will probably have seen our products online.
Buyers for retailers, you mean? Now?
Buyers of retail, buyers of anyone, Starbucks.
People that hold the keys to putting up
the people, the decision makers who might have received a bar in January but not seen it anywhere else. So sort of, why would I take a punt on this product? As much as it might be delicious, I need proof that it's going to sell, kind of thing. And we've actually built up really strong data that we can take to say, we really believe that if you put our product in store, it tastes amazing and the resale value is awesome because XYZ, and we're providing these USPs in relation to what you've currently got. So now it's about road mapping what success looks like offline, as well as online, but offline for me. So who are the key people we want to work with? We don't want to do a scattergun approach where we're approaching everyone. We actually just want to hone in on a couple of key supermarkets, a couple of key health retailers. Our bars launched just before lockdown into Pure Gym nationwide, so we're in all their vending machines. So it's about absolutely smashing Pure Gym and making sure that every single member of Pure Gym knows that Misfits is in their vending machines, because then we can take that to other gym chains, So it's about, again, slow and steady. Now we really believe that sort of we've got some fuel to the fire that we can get these listings. And
super interesting, because what you're saying there in terms of the Pure Gym, in terms of you growing your followings, led you to the next phase. I refer to it as like a bit like monkey bars, right? So you're on that first rung and you've got to swing to that next piece. And, each time you go, you're able to just get a bit more momentum to push you along a bit further.
100%. Like, I couldn't agree more. And it's actually this time has allowed us to really focus on e-com, because ultimately e-commerce is where everyone's shopping. People aren't even, if they're going into supermarkets, they're only buying groceries. They're not really buying unless they're stocking up on snacks. So for us, it's about, this time has allowed us to get those new customers and to get the eyeballs on the brand and to get like thousands of people trying the product, maybe not sharing with their friends right now, but and then propelling into stage 2. I think what it's made me realize is that you've got to be slow and you've got to be methodical, because ultimately we could have launched the bars into X retailer in February, but we probably wouldn't have seen the uplift that we will do if we're now going to launch the bars into somewhere in September, for a number of different reasons. I mean, it's obviously COVID-19. been a disaster to launch a new product when no one's shopping these types of things in store. They're buying full boxes online and Amazon. Amazon's huge, you know.
It's so interesting because I'm just like, now I've changed my whole Instagram around to only follow people that actually care about, or brands I care about, and then what's happening is the actual algorithm for the adverts is showing interesting stuff. So in a different sector, but in the clothing sector, I look at this sort of the clothes that are like hoodies and t-shirts, like interesting things, right? That aren't expensive, that are just interesting t-shirts that you don't find on the high street. There's so much more I'm trying to get to is there's so much more innovation happening and interesting things happening online by all these niche brands. And that's why you're seeing, I mean, in my sector, the restaurant sector, the casual dining group, which is Frankie Benny's Cafe Rouge and Las Iguanas and a few others, are suffering because people, I think, are going back to this. I want something innovative. I want something cool. And whether it's the restaurant space with independent cafes, I think everything's cyclical. And I think your brand's really well placed because it's got a great story behind it. It's just a really cool brand. And I'd tell you if it wasn't, you know what I'm like, I'd tell you, I have done with a few things as well. But
also what I think is awesome for smaller brands is that they're able to sort of, you know, for example, we've always had plant-based as one of our pillars, right? It's just our products have been pea protein based. Our ingredients have been botanical, you know, best quality ingredients. And we've seen data, 48% of high protein users find plant-based more appealing. That's probably increased.
Yeah.
But yet the biggest protein bar, the highest protein bar seller in the UK and beyond is not plant-based. So surely you piggyback, you know, there's an opportunity for a product like ours to take second place. You know, and it's kind of, as a small brand, rather than going through all these big processes that the big corporates have to get something signed off, if we see a trend, if we see a flavor that's, you know, flavor of the month or flavor of the year or whatever, we can go to our supplier and say, right, great, let's work on this, let's get this done, and then in 3 months we can hopefully turn it around.
Yeah.
And that's what's great, because you can be nimble as a small brand, and we all sit less than 2 meters apart normally in an office. We've not gone back to the office yet, but you know, I know what everyone's doing.
It's great.
And there's never anything that gets lost, because if I get an exciting email in, I'm like, oh my god, so and so emailed me. You know, that's what I'm like as a person.
Sure.
I think it just keeps. It just means that it's
connected, right? Your business is connected, and everyone knows singing the same hymn sheet.
Yeah.
I think a nice way to leave it is: have you got like plans for international expansion? I presume you do sell a bit internationally, just by osmosis, various different things. I presume you haven't yet pushed that at the moment. You just focus on the UK, build the base, and then maybe see what's the plan there.
Yeah. So we've always sort of said, let's nail the UK. However, we've had some green shoots, the word I've been using a lot.
Nice. I like it.
During lockdown. So we launched the bars into, this is super random, but we launched the bars into Spa in Qatar during this time.
How did that come about? Like just randomly?
The buyer, I'm quite big on LinkedIn. The buyer got in touch and said, like the look of this. They have a lot of restrictions on ingredients and things that you can't, and ours would fit the criteria.
Oh, right. Cool.
So we launched into there, and then it just got me thinking, we're on Amazon, we want to expand Amazon to other geographies. And then also this bar is, I have friends in America, you know them as well, and they can't believe that we've created a product like this. The bar is what we would take internationally,
right?
Just because of its format, and it's much easier.
Yes. Can you show a picture of the bar? Can you show the actual? Yeah. The packaging's phenomenal. It's amazing.
This is it. I'll show you what it looks like.
They're really delicious. I mean, I put a video up of me eating it because that's what you do apparently nowadays.
Yeah, you do. So it's a pea protein base with soya protein crispies, and then it's triple layered. It's got like a caramel layer.
Yeah, I can see that. Perfect.
I won't eat it on camera, but I'll have it afterwards.
You're smart. That's why. You're smart.
I've done it before when I've done a live cook-off, and I've just been like, had food in my mouth. So feeling it's proof now. But so essentially we are looking at international expansion. We just want to do it right. And I'm really excited. I think what we've realized is we're speaking with a specialist he's from the UK, but he's a European specialist.
Mm-hmm.
And he might act as a sort of international advisor agent kind of person to take us into Northern Europe. Actually, a lot of those markets are even more far advanced. I don't think the UK is that advanced in the wellness space versus other markets. So from what we're understanding, there's even bigger opportunities to explore elsewhere, which is great. We're just looking into it at the moment, but it's definitely on the cards.
So one place I'd like to discuss just before we leave this, I think, is, so you're clearly very busy in terms of your work life. And people know me, know I hate the word balance. And the reason I hate the word balance, I'm going to have a whole video on it, is because a balance means two things equally opposed that are in complete sync. It never happens, right? It's more of a harmony where, different notes being played, but they come together to make a better note. So you're also very keen on your own fitness and health and well-being. How do you, at the moment, with current lockdown, but also normally, how do you keep yourself focused? And obviously the nutrition's a big part. What's your sort of exercise regime? What does that look like? You're super active, so I'm interested in how you fit everything in.
So I've tried to not, minus the fact I'm not leaving the house unless I'm going for a walk or a run or supermarket, but I'm trying to keep it as similar as possible. Actually, I'm loving lockdown because I'm rolling out of bed into my home gym, which is just there in the kitchen. So, but normally or during lockdown, I'd either work out 4 to 5 times a week. Have to just
first thing for you, or depending?
Depends. It really depends. I used to do it a lot really early mornings, but I'm trying to do half and half because I like to sometimes just have that extra hour in bed. Sure. So I'd either go to the gym, there's one near around the corner, or in our home gym, do 45 minutes to an hour of weights or HIIT training, morning or afternoon. I love it. I absolutely love it. I've been doing a little bit of running during lockdown as well, so workouts are a must. I love healthy cooking, so either I'll either have a protein shake after my workout, or just a protein shake normally in the morning, or a bowl of porridge, or I would take in some overnight oats into work, or a shake. It depends. I guess every day is slightly different depending on what I'm doing. And then have sort of a really balanced, not balanced, what I actually it's balanced, protein, fats, carbs, veg, lunch.
That's fine. That's fine. That works.
Yeah. always a healthy portion of protein, fats, carbs, keeps me full. Don't cut out any food groups. I just find it keeps me fuller for longer, firstly, and then it means that I'm only having one snack a day rather than just like constantly grazing in the office. And then see friends when all of this is over. It's really important for me. I actually probably did it too much before, and I was just driving myself a bit just knackered all the time, but trying to make sure that I'm seeing friends a couple of nights a week, go for dinner with them, and get all my work done during the day. Not drive myself into the ground, but obviously if work if work is essential, then that comes first. But you can work, I can work at the kitchen, in bed, it's in the office, all these different places, in a coffee shop, trying to keep sort of
fresh,
the landscape different and fresh, and even work with friends sometimes and that kind of thing. So yeah, I guess if you love what you do, then it's quite easy to implement a healthy routine around work, and make sure that you still, working out, eating healthily, and seeing your friends at the same time.
I think that's a lovely way to lead the conversation for today. Thank you so much for taking the time. And I can't wait to interview you in another year when I'm sure the brand will be in a whole different world, and hopefully beyond, people just know it, and it's one of those household names.
I hope so. Well, thanks for having me. I'm going to go and eat my bar now. And I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you very much.